even though the animation improved and it can pull out some really emotional, really good moments, this anime feels like a rehash from the original one. Hello everyone, welcome to the Weeb Initiative. I'm your host, the Weeb. This is the show where every other week I'll be talking about anime, manga, and everything in between. This week, following our new theme for this year, I will take a look at the other side of the fence. And today I will be talking about the first season of Love Live Sunshine. So before I even start, some disclaimers. Spoiler alert, I will be talking about most of the first season, even though it does not have any, if at all, plot twists or developments outside of the normal running, and I'll just be talking about the first season. I noticed that the second season had 12 episodes, but right now I'm a little stuck on work, so easy to say I need another week to review the second season. That being said, let's start with the stats. So Love Live Sunshine was originally a manga published by, I don't know how you pronounce that, ASCII Media Works, ASCII Media Works, and it started on May 2016, and apparently it's still running. I don't really know. Then we have the anime done by Studio Sunrise, the same guys who do all the Love Lives. It aired originally from July 2016 to September 2016, I think, with the first 13 episodes. Then we had the second season till December 2017. Then we have also the film, which was released in January 2019. That being said, let's start with the story. So what is Love Live Sunshine? So Love Live Sunshine, I would say it's somewhat of an experiment, let's say, from Sunrise to actually do something akin to what Idolmaster has done to that point, so adding more into the same world of the original one. So whereas we saw in Cinderella Girls some references and cameos from the girls from the original Idolmaster, here we have a somewhat different, although pretty similar notion of trying to put all the girls, all the groups in the same realm, let's say, in the same timeline. And so we start the story with our main protagonist, Chika, who is a girl who runs around with a whole lot of hobbies, has tried many clubs and whatever. They are all on, I think, middle school, high school, I don't actually remember. Pretty similar setting to the original Love Live, although this time we are in the, let's say, more countryside of Japan. The story goes on in Uchiura, or from the, I will butcher this, but in the city of Numazu. It's a coastal city, different from Tokyo, so it is really countryside, and for the most part this will come as a bit of setting of different characteristics of the different characters that we see, to the point that going to Tokyo is basically a field trip to them multiple times that they go there. So we have Chika at the first start, who doesn't have any particular hobbies. She goes around and does a lot of stuff, but never has really gotten the bug to do something for real. And the one thing that actually does her in, basically becomes her passion, her obsession, is becoming an idol, because she's exposed at some point. I don't actually remember how it starts, but I think it was one field trip to Tokyo that she gets exposed to Muse. So there is here the first reference to the original Love Live, and the first song that we hear from the original girls from the original Love Live is Hey Sunshine, which more or less gives the name of the show. So Love Live Sunshine, so Hey Sunshine is the name of the song, so you get it. That goes the way that you probably think it would. It's somewhat pretty similar to how Idol Master Million Live starts with our main protagonist going and finding a passion for idols after being exposed to a live performance or something like that. And then from then on, Chica gets her best friend Yo, to actually try to found the school idol club on their school. And for the most part, the first, 2 to 3 episodes is just the two of them. Although it comes really quickly, I think the second episode, they find their third member, that is Riko. And from then on, the story kind of picks up as Riko is a transfer student from Tokyo to Numazu. And then she's also a songwriter, she plays the piano. It's not so much to be, let's say, equal to Maki in the original Love Live, but you can trace some similarities from there. And from then on, we get to, I think, episode 6, we get the other 3 members. So the first 3 members are Chika, Yo, and Riko, who are second years. And in the next 3 episodes, we see the development and basically recruitment of our next 3 members, who were the first years, Yoshiko, Ruby, and Hanamaru. Special shout out to Hanamaru and her VA. She's really cute. And this is a running theme with this whole anime. It's really, really cute, overwhelmingly wholesome, let's say. It does not have the right to be that wholesome. It's really just a funny, kind of cute behavior that the girls have, and it's really nice, really heartwarming. It especially Hanamaru, who has this kind of speech mannerism of saying Zura after everything, and it's really nice. Then from then on, we get this, after they get the 6 members and some development from the part of the first years. We don't have much development from the second years. At the very start of the season, the development comes after episode 10, which is also the more or less near the end of the season, because for the most part the first years are the stars of the show, because the first 3 episodes, that's what I'm trying to say. The first 3 episodes are pretty rushed because they already want to get the ball rolling, or that's what it feels like. Because at this point, they need to, at the very least, set up as the original head, Honoka, Kotori, and Umi. They have to, at the very least, get the first trio ready. And this is a thing, right? They have this first presentation, the 3 of them, and the presentation kind of starts alright, goes really bad at the end, and oh my god, they know how to pull your heartstrings right in the right way to actually make you sympathize with them. I don't know if this is me, and this is a disclaimer in and of itself, but I'm pretty weak when it comes to this kind of hard emotional scenes. When the guys start crying, I kind of get emotional with it. And that scene specifically, when they try to actually do their first live show at the school gym, because at this point we have also the trope that the student council president doesn't like the idea of having a school idol club and wants it shut down, but then the, let's say, weirdly presented school director comes in and basically hand waves a trial, let's say. So if they can fill up the school gymnasium with audience, they can keep the club running, but then they notice that they need more people than the school has, and so this starts a whole chain of events that really don't get really shown. They are really rushed to this point, and they try to do their first presentation, get no people at all. Basically, it starts well, but then it's raining. It's the same setup that we see most times when it comes to this music / idol anime, and much like, I think, the one that I actually remember right now, it's Boshi the Rock, when they actually do their first presentation. And much in the same way, most of the public doesn't show up. The power goes out. The whole thing kind of pretty grim. Chika kind of starts crying on the stage. It's really hard to watch. Until that point, the girls are really just being cute and funny and everything. When it comes down to it, it's pretty sad. But at the very last second, it comes up that Chika's older sister comes with a whole lot of people to actually fill up the gymnasium and watch them actually perform, which is a good thing. All goes well when ends well, and so the whole thing kind of goes that way. So from that point on, we get the introduction of the first year. So the first two are Ruby and Hanamaru. Hanamaru has I would just leave Ruby to do it because she's passionate about it, and then I will go back to my work. But then Ruby convinces her to join it too. Ruby is, for the most part, the one most passionate about idols at that point, school idols specifically, I think. And so it comes out that she's a big Muse fan, and the whole thing kind of goes from there. So Ruby is really, really shy, but then she kind of gets her act together and joins up. And then we have Yoshiko, who, being pretty blunt, it is the, how can I say that, more realistic, or I should say more tame version of Ranko from Cinderella Girls. And I don't think that it is much of a stretch to say that. I mean, the timeline kind of lines up with the release of Cinderella Girls, although I know for a fact that this may or may not have had any, if at all, influence exchange with Cinderella Girls. But the thing is, Yoshiko has this, let's say, alter ego that she uses on live streams that she keeps secret from most people in the school. That is this little devil kind of stuff. And she basically talks like Ranko for the most part. But she has also the side of the normal schoolgirl. And so she knows that she's being cringe when she says that out loud outside of her live streams, and wants to put this habit, this hobby of live streaming and doing this kind of stuff away. But by the end of her episode, the girls convince her of keeping it and basically developing it into a personality for an idol, because apparently this kind of dark idol is a thing. I don't personally know any, but whatever, I don't know. From this point on, we have the 6 of them. They try to do more presentations, more songs, and from this point on, we get the big reveal that actually their school is being combined and shut down, combined with another school from the area and being shut down. And I'll keep the one part that I want to talk about later, but easy to say, it came up as a question. I didn't go to actually research this, but it really came up, like, how many schools are being shut down in Japan? Like, what? Is this such a common thing in the middle of the country? Like, what? I mean, it's really strange when you have two anime of the same series that basically run the same plot points by the book in order, with characters that have somewhat similar personalities. It feels like I'm being told the same story again. That's what it feels like, but I'll get more into that later. From episode 7 to episode 9, I think, 9, early 10, whatever, we have the introduction of the third year. So at this point, the third years are already side characters / supporting cast, and the first one that we get to meet is Daya, Ruby's older sister. I think Daya is short for Diamond, which would be, I think, at the very least, on theme. She's the student council president. She is really hardworking, really. The whole thing that student council presidents do in this kind of show, the same thing as Eddie at the start, and she's strongly against the school idol club, and it doesn't come up with why. It comes up as a nebulous past, some reason that they don't actually know. Even Ruby remarks that at some point in time, Daya had this really strong desire of becoming a school idol. She was also a big music fan, but at some point something happened that she basically renounced everything about ever liking it, and so on and so forth. That being said, we get the next one that is introduced, that is Kanan. Kanan is what I would say a childhood friend of Chica, and basically Kanan at the very start of the series till the very, I think, the later parts of the season, she's on leave from school because she's helping her father after basically they work as fishermen in the region, and her father had an injury that basically left him not working, so she had to do it for him. And for the most part, the very start of the series, we see her outside of the school, but still kind of keeping an eye on things and keeping an eye on Chica and the others in their idol endeavors, let's say. And then we have the best character in the fucking series, in my very humble opinion, Mari. Mari is what I would say it's a more eccentric version of Nozomi, because Mari, her introduction is already pretty strange. She comes out as the daughter of the head of the board of the school, and by the process of nepotism and some other stuff, she becomes the director, the headmistress, whatever you want to call it. And it becomes really strange when a high schooler becomes a headmaster for some reason. I mean, it's really strange, and the whole thing kind of goes from there. So she's the one that hand waves the idol club and so on and so forth, and she drops a lot of hints throughout her whole appearance in the show till that point, that something happened with the third years specifically in the past that did not end well for either of them. So the three that we talked about, Kanan, Daya, and Mari, they all have these sunbursts past that something strange or something bad happened, and for some reason or another they have their own reasons of why they don't want school idols back. And so from this point on, we get the development of why, and so Daya comes out as actually telling the girls of what happened 3 years ago. So basically, Daya, Mari, and Kanan, they started the original school idol club. They tried to be school idols. They went to a preliminary stage of Love Live, because at this point, if you don't remember, Love Live is the name of the competition of school idols that most of the girls originally enter in the original Love Live, and so that's the name of the series. The competition of school idols is Love Live, and so Mari and the bunch, they as school idols, they try to go to Love Live, and for one reason or another, at some point when they go to the preliminary stage, they can't sing for some reason. And so there's this whole misunderstanding that they have, because at that point Mari thought that Daya and Kanan had stage fright or something like that, while Kanan actually had a whole nother reason to why they couldn't sing. And the whole thing kind of comes to a head after some time in episode 9, when Kanan basically reveals the whole truth to Mari, and basically it's not really a ship. I don't think it's a ship when it's not organically made, but it is easy to say that they force the Kanan X Mari ship really hard. At this point, it is like it's not even implied. It is really explicit from this point on. So for the most part, after episode 9, we have all the girls full on, and the whole thing kind of starts from there. The group then consolidates as 9 people. They enter actually Love Live, and they start to actually grind for it. So the 6 girls that were already in it, they already started grinding a bit, but now with 9 girls, they actually make a big performance, a big appearance, and then they go to Tokyo, do stuff, and a whole lot of stuff happens in between. It's not really something that changes a lot of the story for the most part. They eventually go do a cameo when they go actually visit the school of the girls from the original Muse, but then they discover that the school idol club doesn't exist anymore, which is a bit strange because they say it's been 5 years since the original Muse existed, and then, if I'm not mistaken, okay, then disbanded after the end of the second season. But then I remember that the School Idol Club actually continued with Kayo and Rin, and it kind of becomes this strange, let's say, timeline rift where, from what I remember, they actually continued the School Idol Club, so it doesn't really sit well with me to know that it doesn't exist anymore. Like, I know for a fact that they continued it after the credits rolled in the original, so it is really strange, but whatever, that's not really that important to the plot. And then from episode 9 to episode 12, we have somewhat of a more robust arc for both Rico and Dio, but I would say Rico's arc is not really complete, so I think that they will kick it for the second season. I don't actually know at this point. And Yo's arc is really, it comes out of nowhere. It becomes somewhat of a, she becomes jealous because after they kind of recruit Rico, Chica as her best friend, kind of prefers Rico for the most part for some reason, or that's the impression that Yo has at the very least. And then after, for the first time in God knows how many years, in a real anime, I'd say romance at this point, anime, they actually talk it out and resolve their stuff, which was really something for me. I was like, wow, they came in fast, but it went away fast, because at this point I didn't want end of season rush, because for the most part this anime doesn't actually have any plot, for if I'm being real. It's just cute stuff, and for the most part, right, they kind of come up with this drama. It really gets in really quickly. It kind of works out somehow, and then it goes out, which I was totally fine with. Then the last episode is their performance in the preliminary stage of Love Live in Tokyo, so they actually go on to the next phase of Love Live. That's what's implied at the very least. And then we get the bridge to the second season. From this point on, we have the bridge from the second season. Overall, it's a pretty wholesome, as I already said, I'll repeat this multiple times, pretty wholesome, pretty cute anime. All the girls are really nice to watch. The chemistry, the ideas, the little quips and gags and stuff, although they are all played out, it's all pretty cute, pretty heartwarming. It's really nice. I think the entertainment value is there, if that's what you're looking for. The thing that really gets me is that the music is not as good as the original Love Live. I will chalk this out to the fact that they don't actually have many music appearances in this first season. There is the rival group, the rival duo that come to them at the preliminary stage of Love Live that have an actual great song, but outside of that, I don't think that any of their songs specifically are really nice. And so it comes kind of short to the original, because at the very least the original had is no halation, which to this day I would say it is pretty nice, but I think that there was something lacking there. That being said, the animation itself is pretty good. The 3D is miles ahead of the original, although some parts still feel kind of strange, but most frames are okay. I think that the animation overall is pretty nice. So even the 3D parts that you can say that were primarily ripped off from the game, if you told me that, I would not be mad. It's pretty okay. The whole thing kind of looks good and moves well, so whatever. Though it's 3D, you can see it, but whatever. The thing that I want to discuss really, and this is already my opinion, but this is the thing. Oh my god, why did the inclusion of Muse, although I think it's endearing that they try to do something similar to Idolmaster and so on and so forth. I think that they did it too shoot in. It feels shoot in because at the very start, when Chica says that she's a fan of Muse for their performance and whatever, it kind of feels, I mean, it's okay. At some point it's okay. But then they start to compare themselves too much to Muse, and then the way that Ruby and Daya are introduced as fans of Muse kind of becomes more shoot in. It becomes, how can I say that? It feels like the writers are jerking themselves off for the most part. They're including themselves and they are praising themselves for what they wrote, for the characters they created and the things they did. So it feels, this is a deep reference, right? So I watch Bricky a lot on YouTube, and when he did the review for Alan Wake 2, the one thing that he said was the one phrase that he repeated multiple times was Sam Lake you hack. Sam Lake is the writer, the director of Alan Wake, and he himself puts himself into the game in live action scenes and so on and so forth. And the thing is that he says Sam Lake you hack. I would like to say here summarize you hacks, because they jerk themselves off a lot, and it feels like a jerkathon, because they put Muse in such a high pedestal. We're talking about them. It is really obnoxious at some points. It becomes really like, why do you need to actually do this kind of stuff? Like, there's a line between being a fan and actually idolizing the person like really hard, like a deity more or less, and it becomes kind of that, but in a weird way. And so all the introduction, the whole thing with Muse kind of feels wrong, and it feels like not only that, right? So when there's this thing where the writers are already jerking themselves off with including Muse in such a way, but also when the school is closing down bit drops, I was like, hold the fuck on. What? Like, you can't be serious that this is happening. Like, for real. This can't be serious. I mean, it was not really serious back then with Love Live, the original one, because the original one, the school, was really rich. There was no indication that the school would close down. And now, although it kind of feels like it's more justified, it feels really on the nose to actually do this again. And one thing that keeps me up at night, lives rent-free in my head, is that at some point they comment that before Muse won Love Live, they already saved the school. But the thing that they fail to actually say, and this is a thing that I remember I commented in my original review of the original Love Live. They basically threw in the towel because Haruka was sick at that point, and so they basically botched the first Love Live. They gave it away, gave up on it, and the school was saved by their influence, but not by the Love Live. And so there's this one detail that you have to remember. They didn't actually win Love Live the first time and saved the school after, because they threw in the towel. And this is a thing that I felt like, don't you guys like know what you wrote? I mean, it may not be the same writing team. I mean, it's been like, at this point, 5 years. I don't expect it to be the same team for all that matters. But at the same time, you need to know your source material a bit, or be honest about it, because they threw in the towel for the first Love Live. And so they threw in the towel for the first Love Live, and the school was saved in the parallel of it, because if they actually won the original Love Live, there would not be the second season. But then I will start with my rant from the original review that they just threw in the towel to make the second season a thing. I'm not diving into it too much here, but the thing is, the inclusion of Muse feels shoot in a lot. Some parts are okay, but they quickly go into the realm of kind of cringe. The next thing is that I don't feel the ships in this Love Live are really organic for the most part. I feel like the original one was fully organic. It was pretty cute. The interactions from the girls felt, I would not say real, but it felt natural, let's say. This one, it feels like astroturfing, because it feels like the writers are straight up just trying to force it all. The Ruby, Hanamaru, and the Riko Chica really came out of nowhere to me, because to my eyes, the drama at the end was not justified, but still, the Kanan and Mari one is really not well resolved, in my opinion. The dialogue in that part is really so, and for the most part, it feels kind of shoot in too. There's a thing with this season. And then the last part, the one that actually gets me, is that it feels like, and this may be just my opinion, but I think it's okay to say here, the episodes in this season specifically, when compared to the original, they feel much impersonal. So the original one, I remember that we had development from all the girls for the most part. So we had development for Honoka, Kotori, Nico, Kaio, Rin, and so on and so forth. So much so that at some point they specifically mention Rin as she's beautiful and so on and so forth. And I remember, and they showed the picture of her dressed as a bride. I think it was in the original one. I remember that one picture was after her own episode where she confronted that complex that she had with her femininity. And the thing is, I then noticed that we don't have this here. Like, it lacks the personality. We don't have something like the one episode where we get to know how Nozomi lives alone, or the home situation of Eddie, or the home situation of Nico, which for the most part may be a meme, but was good character development, character setting, characterization. And then it felt kind of strange, because at this point we don't know anything of these girls for the most part. We know their surface level stuff, but not really much else. The one thing that actually kind of comes out to me at the release is that we don't actually see any of the homes of any of the girls for the most part. I mean, that's not objectively true, because we see them at their own homes, but we don't actually see their interactions with other people outside of their main group. And so this became kind of a thing where it feels like they just want to tell the same story really quickly. It's like speedrun and % Love Live, because at this point the plot is not even there. The plot is the same with Love Live, but with other girls, and they actually know the original girls from Muse. But then the whole thing kind of crumbles when we think about it, because the girls don't actually have their personal moments. We don't actually get to see much of their personal lives outside of the group, outside of Chica, because Riko we don't actually see much. We know that she plays the piano and have this whole complex with playing piano again and so on and so forth, but that's surface level stuff. We don't actually know her parents, for lack of better example. But then for example, too, with Rico is afraid of dogs, and even Chica's dog, who is a really nice dog, really tame dog, and so on and so forth, she panics, and we don't actually know why. We don't see the flashback at the very least. And that goes with Ruby and Daya. We don't get to know Yoshiko for the most part. We don't know Hanamaru for the most part, although they mentioned that Hanamaru lives in a temple with nearly no technology, but we never actually get to see the temple. You know, and that kind of comes up as a detail that I felt like I need to mention. And so it feels impersonal. It feels like this is a continuation for the sake of the continuation, of keeping the IP alive, more than writing a new series with grasping why the original one was so beloved. It feels, I would not say a cash grab, because it still has qualities, but it feels kind of dumbed down, let's say. It feels kind of simplified, mechanized, I don't know, more. It feels like they analyze what was the single parts that worked and just put that. It feels formulaic. I think it's a better way to say it. But overall, again, the anime is okay. The animation's good. The art's good. Although, and here's the thing. With the art department, it is really, with this one specifically, it is really perceptible, the same face syndrome that many artists have. It's really perceptible. Because for the most part, I think Io and Kaio have the same, let's say, hair model, and I don't know if that's right, but it feels like it. But at the same time, the art is pretty cute. But when you notice the same face syndrome in all the characters, it's hard to get it away. Outside of that, animation's good, art's good, music is so-so, and that's basically it. So if you like the show, if you like my stuff, thank you for listening. Please like, please share, please follow, depending on the platform you're in. And I hope you stick around for next time. Bye.